No scriptwriter could have ever written a better.
When early summer arrives in Hamburg, it's derby time. Top sport, great emotions, and unforgettable moments await. Watch it live on Clip My Horse TV.
Well, hello there, and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be watching from around the world to this edition of the Clip My Horse TV In and Out studio. Amy Parks here with you, and what a pleasure it is to be with you on this weekend. We are really kicking off a huge summer of equestrian sport in style with this spectacular show. It is, of course, the Hamburg Derby, and today it is the feature class that is the centrepiece of our focus, and especially here in the In and Out studio. We'll be bringing you all of the analysis ahead of the live sport this afternoon. I'm not alone in the studio. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome in the analyst chair.
It has to be such a unique class.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic afternoon of sport. This is such a unique class, and we really, really look forward to it. What a show. What an iconic piece of just a demonstration of the love of horses and equestrian sport. Let's tell you a little bit about this show then. Let's give you 4 fast facts. We like to do that, bring you straight up to speed with this particular show and where we're at with things. This is the 94th edition of Hamburg's iconic jumping and dressage derby. We of course see the jumping today, but dressage been going on all week as well at the highest level. Now, this is one of the world's toughest and most historic jumping courses. Others have been inspired by it, and it has been setting the tone for jumping in terms of show jumping as a sport, but also for this iconic, unique derby approach as well. Now, the derby course has remained largely unchanged since 1920, so steeped in history, and as I said, iconic is certainly the word we're going to throw around a lot this afternoon. And over 90,000 spectators attend the event each year, and we are expecting to see almost nothing short of that today. Hopefully that weather hangs on, but the crowds anyway are just as passionate and enthusiastic despite in spite of whether it's raining, windy, sunny, because it's been like that all week. It's been very, very changeable, Hannah. We've seen so much going on, haven't we?
Yeah, yesterday it was fascinating. They started off, it was raining, then the crowd seemed to take all the raincoats off, then the rain came back again, but it didn't put any of them off. It was fantastic to see all the way around that arena, absolutely just packed out with people watching. So passionate, as you say, about seeing these stars in action. Fantastic German riders, but riders from all across the world as well, all there eager to see those real stars.
Yeah, absolutely, and so great for our sport. We want to get a little bit more of a feel for this wonderful venue then. Our reporter Frankie Reid-Warrilow has been in Hamburg all week, and she has taken a look at the venue in focus.
Welcome to the Hamburg Derby. This 5-day show features both elite-level dressage and show jumping, and it brings in thousands of enthusiastic equestrians. But they are all eagerly awaiting the 2 feature classes at the weekend, the Longines 5-Star Grand Prix and also Derby. This historic venue is in the north of and it's been running for more than 100 years. It's so prestigious that it encourages the world's best horse and rider combinations, and it is famous throughout Europe. As for the Derby, its 106-year history speaks for itself. This is where dreams are made and hopes are dashed. In the world of show jumping, contesting the Derby is the ultimate challenge for horse and rider combinations. This is the first opportunity this summer for combinations to prove themselves on grass. Being in the heart of the city, the atmosphere transcends throughout this beautiful showground. The importance of the five-star Grand Prix cannot be underestimated for German show jumping, particularly considering the World Equestrian Games is being held in Germany in just a couple of months. This famous arena is where legends and legacy are created.
We certainly hope so. We'll look forward to legacy being created this afternoon. The anticipation is rising, that is for sure. And Frankie is down by the arena where we know that the energy is really building ahead of this afternoon's sport. Frankie, give us a feel of what things are like down there for you at the moment.
Hi Amy, welcome to the Hamburg Derby Day here. The feeling is pretty exceptional, to be honest. I've been here all week since Thursday and I thought that it was busy. But today, the crowds have absolutely been pouring in and there are still people trying to find places to seat. People have been here since 9 o'clock this morning getting their spots so that they can watch the Derby unfold this afternoon. They say that there's going to be about 25,000 spectators come through the gates today, which is phenomenal because to give you an idea, the landscape here isn't even that big. There's one main ring, there's a warm-up ring, and you know it's not a massive geographical area for 25,000 spectators to come and enjoy the sport. Behind me this afternoon for the last hour or so, there's been loads of things going on in the arena to entertain this massive amount of spectators. There's been dressage prize giving. We've had a 5-star dressage Grand Prix. On the podium we had both Isabel Wirth and Ingrid Klimke, so German princesses and queens of dressage, and then there was even a pony dressage Grand Prix, and they were able to do their lap of honour here in the main arena, which is something that will live on in those young riders forever. And then just before we went on air, I'm glad we weren't filming because I did get a little bit emotional when they had a real horsemanship display, and there was you know, lovely horses, a celebration of horses in general, because there's a really rich heritage here in the Hamburg state in Germany. Hamburg being the second largest city in Germany, but actually it really feels quite rural, surrounded by trees, and everybody is waiting for the Derby this afternoon. Over 100 years it has been here, and you can really feel the prestige, the history. There's a winner's wall with everybody's names etched in stone, and I'm sure that all the riders vying for it this afternoon will be wanting to get their names in the history books for sure. So we're just under an hour before the Derby starts. The riders, I've just started to see them come down the horse walk, eagerly waiting to walk the course. The course has very much stayed the same for the last 100 years. Loads of original features, but they still want to get those steps in, walk around the course, make their plan as the tension is building, and it really is a show. Everybody is waiting for this Derby this afternoon.
To Frankie, who has been enjoying it. She's had to get the tissues out while she was watching the natural horsemanship display. We were watching it in here too. It's absolutely beautiful. At one point we thought, hang on, they've got horses. Wait a minute, here come the goats and the sheepdogs. So it was all happening in that main arena there in Hamburg. So lovely to see and lovely to enjoy. But the sport is certainly going to be the feature piece today, Hannah. Talking about dressage, as Frankie was there, dressage competition, and we have the best in the world on that stage there in Hamburg, don't we? The absolute queen of dressage in Isabel Wirth.
Exactly, you know, fantastic to see Isabel in action. Always such a treat to see all of her tests, but it looked like a fantastic lineup anyway. Of course, so many German stars of the international dressage world, but great to have both disciplines at the same show. I always really enjoy that, being able to see both of them, and I'm sure the spectators there will be thinking the same. But again, great to have that 5-star dressage still continuing and still seeing all those great riders in action.
Yeah, absolutely. And Isabel, we know she's the queen of dressage. Undoubtedly, she has been the queen of this show as well. She took victory with Wendy in the Grand Prix Special earlier in the week, and she has secured victory, we know that, in the freestyle, and that was the prize she was able to collect this morning. We're going to take a look at her test aboard Viva Gold OLD right now.
Isabel Wirth. Super hold. Wow. Starting off with a full piaffe pirouette. All Neil Diamond songs here. Okay, slightly hurried here in the extended. But the piaffe passage is just beautiful. Super. The way this horse sits in his piaffe is extraordinary. Also very even, super rhythm, super posture. Super walk. Great over track, making sure the head doesn't get too high and it's not too fast. I don't think Isabel's ever ridden this freestyle before. Neil Diamond medley for this Vivaldi stallion. When I say I don't think she's ever ridden it before, I mean it pretty literally, as she said last Friday that the music wasn't even ready yet and that she would only ride it if it would be ready today. So wow, look at the sit. Still, maybe he needs to develop a bit more power so he can also keep the nose out a bit more in the pirouette. Super. Yes, well done. Okay, getting a bit big here in the second pirouette. So nice and uphill, so make sure to keep the nose out. Getting a bit fast again there in the tempies, one tempies. Come on. Okay, this is still a bit difficult. Yes. Wow, look at that. What a piaffe machine this horse is. This is such a lovely, lovely horse to watch. He's so talented and also so beautiful. Really working hard for his rider. Concentrated. Very sympathetic horse as well. Besides talented and spectacular. Pat's there, yes. Well, I wouldn't want to ride out of that Piaffe as well. It looks like she didn't want to get out of it. That has to be a fantastic feeling. And what a freestyle debut for Viva Gold OLD and Isabel Weert.
Oh no, we had to get the Kleenex out for me now. We were just talking about how I could never keep myself together every stop to music, and then Sweet Caroline came on and that's it, I'm ended. We need to move on from dressage. This is why we swiftly turn away. It's far too much of an emotional experience for me. Absolutely beautiful, and congratulations to the Queen of Dressage. Her poster forever etched on 11-year-old Amy's wall. Isabel Werth, fantastic stuff there. We are going to let's get back into show jumping. It's a bit rougher and I can just get the tears away, Han. We want to talk about this class this afternoon, but we cannot do that without talking about what happened yesterday in that five-star Grand Prix, because it was an absolute showcase from Andre Thieme. Which I'm saying Andre Thieme today because I got very Australian by the end of that class yesterday. Very excited, and the pronunciation, there are a few drop vowels, let me tell you.
That's the thing, it was the excitement. It was all about the excitement. What a class and what a jump off it was. Lots. Biron said that he wasn't sure if he was going to go for it or not. He had to really put everything out there. Great rides from Emily Conter as well, and Hudron Petit getting on the podium as well. Really, really great rides. A few shocks actually earlier on in the class in round one. A few riders that we thought could have made it through to the jump off, but sadly weren't quite able to get there. But great performance from him, and he's becoming quite the Hamburg specialist.
Absolute superstar in Hamburg yesterday in that five-star Grand Prix.
Shira'aa, still only 16 years old, has achieved so much. Let's say that thing, and I think it's a serious thing in his mind, wondering about Aachen next weekend. But he's not thinking about Aachen at the moment. He is low down over the horse's neck, and he is moving. Just Sanna Tyson to follow, who can herself be incredibly fast. So we'd have to look back and see whether the Derby and the Grand Prix have been done on the same year. Not in recent years, that's for sure. But DSP Shira'aa and Andre Thieme could try and get that game on, because they go into the lead, 39-59.
I didn't want to risk it all, and I don't think I did. I just turned very, very short, and then to the last jump, then I took the risk because I was still in it, and I felt that. And she is very, very fast and very experienced. So, and I can trust her 1000%. So, yeah, it was meant to be. Every win with her feels emotional. Every win in general feels emotional. But I was here a few years ago, third in the Grand Prix. Then I was second with her in the Grand Prix. So it was time to win it once, and so we want to have that Grand Prix experience here once, and not only the Derby. So, and I'm just really, really happy.
Oh, lovely stuff for Andre, like you say, really well-deserved win, and for that beautiful mare, for DSP Shira'aa coming back after a year off to come out and have absolutely thrown down like that. And Andre had talked a lot about the plan, because obviously Aachen next weekend, Little Aachen as we're calling it, so that it's very strategic. These horses have got to be kept tip-top ahead of quite demanding performances on the hop, haven't they? 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, there's a lot for them to do actually at the moment. You know, they've got to consider, as you say, this week, next week, Aachen. It's always such a highlight of the calendar, and again, especially for the German riders, but it's such a highlight that so many riders want to perform well there. And then that being the host venue for the World Championships coming up, it's a very busy year. And now I think the riders have to really plan their calendars so carefully. They've got to look at the selection dates as well for those teams for the World Championships. So certainly a lot for them to do at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And those horses are always the primary focus, so their health and happiness and well-being. A lot of sport been going on throughout the week, and of course it is Derby Day today. We're about to see it all unfold. He's won a Hickstead Derby aboard this horse, and that is David Simpson in the UK, of course. He took the second qualifier win, and I mean, apart from a fantastic performance, which we're going to look at, he won himself a half. But first of all, let's have a look at how their round went.
David. Over. See how that lane crossing just really impacts their approach and their preparation for that in and out across the ring. He's going to jump the Range Rover fence, doesn't feel the need to jump the Irish bank with this experienced Derby horse. Potter recently runner-up in a 6-bar competition at Bourg-en-Bresse in France. Just clips the gate, but it stays in place. At the Fieldstone wall, it hasn't looked like he's worked as hard as Guy Williams, but overall, I think he is faster. Guy was certainly scrubbing along to go for the pace. This has been very, very smooth, and he is more than 2 seconds faster. 93.21 it was for Guy Williams. David Simpson in 90.82 goes into the lead, and that is one of our very, very few Derby winning combinations to be here represented in the starting field of this competition, and they make that experience count. Piotr van der Kruishoven and David Simpson out in front of the Hamburg second Derby qualifier.
Yes, David Simpson there, last seen careening around the streets of Hamburg on a Harley Davidson, which was the prize that he in fact won for winning that class.
Great prize.
I mean,
great
what a
prize.
prize.
Here we are. There he is
There he
again.
is. Look at him. He's been unleashed.
He looks very happy to be on it.
He looks super pleased with that,
doesn't
doesn't he? I mean, it's a great prize, to be fair. The pictures will be going viral on social media also, but he is in fact on the starting lineup, so we do know he is showing up today. Don't worry, we haven't lost him. So very good stuff there. We're going to talk about this Derby then. That's obviously the qualifier. This is what's coming up this afternoon. We want to start off by talking about previous winners, because this man's name we've talked about a lot this week, and we've talked about it in the lead up to this show. And Andre Thieme is someone we cannot look past when we talk about the previous winners. Let's look at the list of previous winners then in this 4-star Derby, this Hamburg German jumping Derby. Of course, Andre Thieme there above board Paula S in 2025 was the only completion in the jump off last year to win. And could he go back to back today?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, he had a great run last year. He mentioned earlier that he'd got nearly there on the Grand Prix, but not quite. Now he's ticked that off, and I'm sure would love to do the double, as you can see Marvin Jungel did in 2023 and 2024. Actually, 4 of the last 10 editions of this competition won as the only clear, so no jump off needed, just the one clear got them the win, which is quite unique actually. And in a normal, say in a Grand Prix, that would be something very unusual, but that doesn't seem to be quite so unusual in this Hamburg Derby. Balus Urban OLD, the only horse to win more than once in the last 10 years. But both Andre Thieme and Paul S. and Marvin Jungel and Balus Urban are back again in today's field, so looking to either reclaim a title or defend it. So that is certainly something to look out for as well. But a good list there of riders who've performed well in these more unusual classes, you might say.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to take a look at last year's round from Andre Thieme and Paula S, because it certainly is something to behold. In danger of becoming the Andre Thieme show. You know, it's been the Kent Farrington show before, it's been the Scott Brash show before. It's Andre's time to shine. Let's take a look at his round from last year.
Andre Thieme knowing his way around here. With the superb Naccord, of course. 07, 08, 2011. Multi-winner of $1 million Grand Prix out in the US. And last year's massive success in Aachen as well, but could he join Hugo Simon as a 4-time winner? Nelson Pessoa up there as the 7-time winner, feeling like the Jack Nicklaus record of winning majors in golf. It's one that I'm not sure they'll ever get to. Two comparable in their ability in their respective sports as well. Andre Thieme, little step off. Ran for 8 faults in the last couple of runnings. This will be key. Gets there. And gets there again. His heart is going at a rate of knots as Esteban watches them come at him. Nothing he can do about it now. And each time one of them has a fence, I'm sure his heart rate gets faster and just don't know what to do with yourself for the final few riders to go. He knows how to ride this. And again, the fences are no great surprise. It's nothing they can't have practiced. Of course, been here since 1920. A few little changes over the years. Very little. Has a really good chance now. Oh, Esteban. You might be in for a showdown. Yes, you are. Second of the clears, Germany's Andre Thieme, 3-time winner.
Oh, could he do it again today? Andre Thieme, it could be his weekend in Hamburg. What a story that would be. Hannah, we've said this class is incredibly unique. It's rare that we see these derbies, probably the most famous Hamburg, and of course Hickstead, that sort of thing. We want to give everybody how this format works. Let's take a look at 4 fast facts then about this particular class, the Hamburg Derby. It is one of the world's most legendary show jumping classes. It's iconic. Riders face a unique 1,230-metre course with natural obstacles all mixed in there. Plenty to do and a long old way to go round. Now, famous challenges include the Grosse Wall, which is the big wall, or the Derby Bank, and also Pulverman's Grab. So they're the big ones to look out for. They're the showstoppers if you're following along. And winning the Derby is, of course, considered a career-defining moment. So will it be that once again for Andre Thieme today, or could it come from one of those other incredible riders that we are seeing out there? This course is so unique, so challenging, Hannah. We've got a lot to watch today. We were saying the time to get round there, it's quite a long time for each rider.
It is. It's just over 3 minutes, actually, per rider. So it really feels like quite a long way around. And that's another thing that makes this such a unique competition. You know, we just heard a little bit there. How much are they able to practice this kind of fence with these show jumping horses? Because actually, how often do you see a show jumping horse going up and down a bank? Very rarely. How often are they jumping and kind of continuing that effort for more than 3 minutes? Very, very rarely. So that really makes even more different factors combining together to make this such a unique competition. And not only the type of the fence, not only the height of them, not only the time, the stamina that's needed, everything has to come together, which is why it's such a unique one in terms of who could win. It's anyone's game.
Reporter Rosie Russell is going to take a bit of an in-depth look at this course today.
Welcome to one of the most legendary tests in show jumping, the Hamburg Derby course. Inspired by traditional hunting obstacles, this track is famous for testing far more than just scope. Riders need bravery and complete trust from their horse to make it all the way round. The first real Derby-style question comes at the road crossing, a unique obstacle where riders jump onto a raised section before dropping back down the other side. They then head down to a huge water jump before having to collect and rebalance quickly for the upright wall that follows. Then comes the most famous fence on course, the Derby Bank. Riders jump a small rail on top before facing the enormous drop down the front side of the bank. Horses must stay balanced and brave here before meeting the one stride at the bottom and jumping out over the rails. The track continues thick and fast with rails and walls before a huge white spread at fence 10, standing at 1.60 m high and 1.90 m wide. But this course is by no means done at fence 10. There are 17 fences on the track, 26 jumping efforts, and a course that is around 2 to 3 times longer than a normal show jumping track. Fence 12AB poses another accuracy question. With 2 upright fences, this track really tests the adjustability of both horse and rider. After that technical question, combinations get a longer stretch to gallop before facing the gate at fence 13. Pulverman's Grave is one of the most challenging obstacles on the track. It's a 3-part combination consisting of a vertical, a drop into a sunken ditch, and then a vertical out. By this point, the horses and riders are nearly home, with just 3 numbered fences left to jump. Fence 16A and B is the final combination on course, and it's not surprising to see rails fall here. It comes late in the track and requires horses to stay careful, balanced and reactive. The Hamburg Derby is a course that rewards bravery and a strong partnership, and simply getting home clear around the Derby is considered one of show jumping's greatest achievements.
Just to get round it in that sort of little course exploration, it was taking some time, and they look pretty daunting, don't they, Hannah? Yeah. I mean, that's some amazing stuff. Frankie is down by the arena. It looks like the riders are walking and they're setting out there on the course. Frankie, give us a bit of an update of how things are going, because the crowds are certainly coming in thick and fast. But I don't know, what do you reckon? Are you jumping it?
I think I might have to think about that for a couple of years yet, Amy. It is quite shocking, the size of the fences, and actually when you say am I jumping it, things like a ditch, you know, a coffin, the dry ditches, we do that all the time in eventing, But the Pulverman's Dyke here, 1.60 m the rail is going in. There is no way you would find that eventing. You know, the highest you can jump eventing on the cross-country course is 1.20 m. They've got a stride to the ditch, a stride coming out, and coming out is 1.50 m. The biggest fence on the course, I think it's fence 6 or 7. It's a massive sort of open parallel silver birch rails. That is pretty much 1.90 m top spread. In eventing, it can be 2 m top spread. So it's the maximum dimensions you can get at 5-star eventing here in the Derby, but it's 1.60 m high. Again, it just boggles my mind that they are jumping these size fences on show jumpers in a grass arena. A little bit of light-hearted news to bring you, as I've been hearing from the showground all week about this crow. I didn't know what anybody was talking about, but supposedly there is a resident crow that lives in the arena, and you can see him on the cameras all week, and everybody jokes that he's rather put out, that he has to put up with 100,000 spectators throughout the week, 25,000 spectators today, and all the horses jumping around the ring. So that's quite funny if you see him on the cameras. Another thing I wanted to touch on briefly was the fact that they have to do a Derby qualifier to enter the class this afternoon. There's 2 chances for all the combinations, one on Wednesday and one on Friday. And something that's interesting is William Whitaker, who's one of the riders to watch. He was in the Derby trial on Friday and his horse had 2 fences down. He was still able to qualify, but the 2 rails that he had down were your sort of typical standard show jumping fences, what his support crew like to call sticks, coloured sticks. And for me, it was a real realisation that that is talking about how unique the horses have to be to jump in this Derby. His particular horse doesn't care about the sticks, but you show him something like the Derby Bank, Pulverman's Dyke, the dry ditches, and he says, bring it on. You can hear the music going. The crowds have literally all got their spots. Nobody is willing to budge because the competition is going to be starting really, really soon, and we're all really excited.
Super stuff. Thank you so much, Frankie. Love hearing that from her. Eventing. And so it is very, very interesting to hear from her perspective. We'll catch up with her a little bit later, but we want to dig in now, Hannah, to a little bit of analysis ahead of this class. Our colleagues at Equiratings, our mates, they've been looking at this. It's a unique one because it is tricky to run the numbers on this because, as Frankie was saying, it takes a specialist horse, a specialist combination to really kind of put themselves forward for this one and make a showing. Then I guess the best place to start is as how many they think will make it through to a potential jump off. We talked about this earlier, and sometimes it's not very many at all. Let's take a look at the numbers here, supplied by Equiratings, and there you go. Surprising to me, but interesting.
Yeah, their call is between 2 and 4. Obviously 2016 you can see there was quite the anomaly, but that's generally the number that we're expecting here today. Most years they've had kind of 2 or 3. You can see there were 4 clears in 2022. Half of the field here today are first timers at this competition, and really, you know, he's saying that it's such a unique competition. It's one that you really could do with a horse that's used to this kind of class, used to this kind of up and down and different terrain and these really unusual fences. So the fact that half of them are first timers at this competition, that could have a big impact as well and could bring our number down. Very little margin for error at every fence, of course. You know, when we were just taking a look at the winning round from last year, Andre Thieme, of course, we were here sitting here saying, weren't we, you know, even those poles on those kind of hanging poles, nothing at the bottom of the fence, so light and airy, and that really could fall down so easily. It's much more difficult for the horses to then gauge the height. So it's not just those very impressive ones like the bank and like the ditch there as well. Those more delicate fences, it's really got everything. There's a lot being thrown at them there, and certainly the number of clears could be quite small. Field of 32, we might not have too many.
Yeah, very interesting to see how it comes down to it at the very end of things. We want to talk about, we've talked a bit about this chap as well, and Frankie certainly has. It's William Whitaker. When we talk about a largely inexperienced field, this is someone who's very experienced in this kind of class. He really loves it. And particularly aboard this horse, Flamboyant. And you heard Frankie say there, Flamboyant has all the get up and go for those big challenging obstacles that a lot of show jumping horses might say, absolutely no way am I having a crack at that. This is such An interesting story with this horse that he's ended up. I mean, one year at Hickstead, literally, Elliott Smith, who was riding the horse, had the fall the day before. Will Witts jumped on and jumped the Derby the next day. I think half the people there thought, well, more than half, thought he was completely mad. But
Amazing.
they made such a showing, and it really goes to show what an amazing equine athlete you have there, and what an amazing horseman. We say so much to know about this horse. 3-time the Hickstead Derby runner-up at 22, 24, 25. You know, so much. Puissance specialist as well with Flamboyant. It is an incredible combination.
Yeah, I think as well the horse is quite tall and obviously has a really big stride, probably really helpful when in terms of the ground cover that you would need for a track like this, presumably also for a Puissance actually as well, you know, helps to get that height from the off. But yeah, very experienced, suits this kind of track, certainly one to watch, and yeah, has performed well both primarily at Hickstead, but this looks to be one to have very much on.
Fortunately, Frankie was able to catch up with Will Whittaker throughout the week. He is our rider in focus today.
One thing, I always really love coming to Hamburg. It's a fantastic show, it's a great atmosphere. And I think really the schedule that's on this week with the Derby and also the 5-star, I've got 3 horses with me here this week, so there's something for them all, to be honest, which is, you know, which is fantastic. He's incredibly scopy to start with, and he's got a massive end, and he's obviously a big horse, and it's trying to basically keep him as relaxed as possible. Well, it's a bit of a funny story really, because he's owned by the Smith family, and is still ridden by Elliott mainly. But a couple of years ago, we were down at Hickstead for the Derby, and unfortunately Elliott fell off in the qualifier and broke his leg. They asked me then if I would ride him in the Derby basically. So I said yeah. He had a good round, you know, some good rounds in the Derbies in him. It's a longer course. The Derbies, you know, they're that little bit, longer than your average sort of jumping round. So we'd work quite a bit more on the fitness with them. With Flamboyant now, he's 16-year-old, so he's been round. I think he's been round here twice. He's been round Hickstead 4 or 5 times. So you kind of know which areas he needs to work on and which areas he finds easier. Because the course is so long, you can't practice every single jump, otherwise you just won't be able to get it all in. The good rounds are in there with him. Obviously everything's got to work out on the day, and there is with a Derby, there's a little bit of, there's luck involved, isn't there, in the way that you've got to come off the bank right and all these kind of things. But the thing is, we know he jumped a great clear at Hickstead last year, you know, and like lots of years, that's enough to win. So it's one of those with the Derbies, really. It depends a bit on the field, but the thing is, what always gives you confidence is you know it's possible with him when you go out there.
Super stuff to hear from Will Witt, and fantastic stuff because Frankie is actually down by the arena, and Eotblad is actually joined her to have a bit of a chat. Frankie and William Whittaker.
Will, thank you so much for joining us. You've just finished your course walk. How many times do you get to walk around your course?
Well, obviously it's quite a long course. Kind of go over them once more just to make sure.
Change, does it?
No, it doesn't change at all, which obviously makes it easier because we kind of year on year know what to expect, but it doesn't seem to make it any easier.
I was surprised at how many riders walk to the edge of the bank. Is that something that you do as well?
Not really. I try and have a rough idea between jumping onto the bank up to the fence at the top, just so I kind of, I mean, it's obviously difficult because the ground is going up as well. Just so you got kind of a little bit of a rough idea how you would like to ride it. To be honest, when you get to that point, there's quite a lot of improvisation and it all happens quite quick, so it's just to give you a rough idea, basically.
And might sound a bit basic, but clearly you're not going to be looking down the bank. Are you looking up ahead?
Yeah, you try and just, well, with Flamboyant anyway, I try and just keep the momentum, let him just kind of slow down, walk off the edge, and then just try and get him to not go all the way to the bottom, sort of 2/3 of the way down, pop off, one stride, and then jump the rails. You don't want to take too much off because obviously there's a big fence at the bottom, but then also you don't want him too quick that you know that he doesn't come off where you want him to.
1.60 m those rails at the bottom, and white. They're pretty impressive, aren't they? Your boy, the other day when you did the Derby trial, he took a few jumps to really get into his rhythm, didn't he? Because he knows his job.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's very experienced now, and like I said when we spoke before, he's a horse. He's very sensitive, and he's one that, you know, all the time I'm just working and trying to keep him relaxed as possible. He's a huge horse and he's got a massive stride, so I was trying to just regulate that as good as I can, basically to make the job as easy as possible for him.
How do you keep him relaxed in this kind of atmosphere?
Yeah, that's what's difficult. There's a real buzz around the whole show today, you know, which is fantastic, but it does make it a little bit more tricky for those kind of horses, especially around the collector ring, that kind of thing. So I just try and do everything in real good time, nice warm up, keep him as relaxed as possible, and then yeah, go out there and try and get the job done as good as we can.
It's quite a hotly contested class this year. Do you take note of the other competitors in the class?
Obviously, just because I'm interested, really. But from my sort of plan and point of view, it's just about going out there and executing my plan, basically. And then, you know, if that comes into it towards the end with jump-offs and that kind of thing, then it's still a bit the same. I know what I can do with my horse, so it's kind of basically going out there and trying to get that done as good as I can.
3 minutes of pure focus, no time to celebrate.
No, that's it. We'll try and leave that to after, hopefully.
Well, best of luck, William, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So much to William Whitaker for joining us, and to Frankie there. Great to chat with him and get some of this because he's so experienced at these tracks. We want to dig more into this analysis now. We want to get into some of these names because it is a real list of names, 32 combinations coming forward. The team at Echo Ratings have been looking at them. Hannah, let's kick things off by who is coming back to defend. And it is that man, we've talked a lot about him, Andre Thiemer, Paula S. Of course, they were last year's victors. Let's take a look then at how this can all play out because that there is actually, well, coming back to defend. Also coming back to try and say, hey, I didn't get it in 2025, but 26, I'd like to have it back, please.
Exactly, and Marvin Jungle, you know, you can see there he's been the only double winner in the last decade, so that in itself is quite some feat. To be able to do it 3 times would be huge. Andre Thiemer on form, he won yesterday, he's been going well all week, looking to defend his title. This is his 4th Hamburg Derby with this horse. And then the 2019 winner, Cordillo 3, with a new rider this time, Simon Heinecke. He comes forward here. He's the most experienced horse in the field with 6 Derby starts. Only 2 other horses have more starts in this class in the last 10 years. So then again, very, very experienced. These horses know what they need to do in the arena there. They know what it takes to compete in a derby. We just heard there, the course doesn't change. I'm not sure they'll remember the course, but you know, they've been there before. They know what it takes. That might give them a little bit of confidence, and certainly experience can really play a big factor here today.
Yeah, certainly it will be. And I think that's when you talk about experience, it's important to focus on our multiple winners because as we say, these classes we don't see a lot of them around the world at the top level. And so it is hard to get that experience, but this is one where we've got a couple of riders and horses coming back where we've got multiple winners. Let's take a look at that now and break it down because this is a really, really interesting, I think, point that we need to talk about because Marvin Jungle, 2-time Hamburg Derby winner, 23-24, as we said, returning this year. The big question is, I mean, can he be the first rider in the modern era to win this class 3 times? Because as you said, in the last decade, he's the only one to have won it twice.
Yeah, very much so. This is the, you know, one of the real ones to be beating here today. Having won it 2 times, it's an unusual class to win. It's a difficult class to win. To do it twice is a big deal. To do it 3 times would also be huge. So these are kind of the ones with all of that experience, the ones that really could be on that list. We touched on earlier, we have a lot of newcomers to this class as well, so that experience will be all so important. And I think as well, the fact that these horses are quite well suited to this competition. You know, I was thinking a little bit about how often do you see show jumping horses in this kind of environment. Actually, in Kentucky recently, you had the 5-star show jumping alongside the eventing. And I think some of the show jumping riders were asked, how do you think your horses would handle this course? The likes of Ben Mayer, Kent Farrington saying, there is no way my horses would touch these fences. So it's interesting that this is almost a little bit of a hybrid of the two. So these are specialist horses.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads us really nicely into this point. And usually when we talk to Equi Ratings and we go through the data and the stats with the team, they would talk a lot now about win chances, and that's what we would look at going in to the top of a class. But actually, because this class is so specialist and you need a particular set of horses that take on these challenges, we're looking more at form. So let's take a look at what they've put together for us in terms of form on the course, because this gives us a little bit of an indicator of what we might see or how well they might do coming into this.
Yeah, you can see here how many Derby starts these horses have had, how many times they've managed to jump clear, how many times they've been in the top 5 as well, what their best position was. So we've got 3 previous winners, we've got a couple of seconds, a third, a 5th there. It's very difficult to then kind of make the kind of rates, as you say, that we usually have. But you can see that, again, experience plays a factor. DSP Comanche VL, 2 clears from 4 starts. See the stars with Stefan Dubsky there, 1 from 4. That actually is quite a hugely different ratio, but I think in the context of a derby isn't necessarily as much as of a sort of statistic, because they jump these things so infrequently. So yes, actually, it technically, you know, it's 25% to 50%, but the fact that both of them have only even started in the Derby 4 times, that's kind of more the statistic, that's more the kind of point to make, that it's an unusual competition. And as Will Whitaker said there, anything can happen. You've got to have luck on your side as well.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And some interesting names there to watch. David Simpson, Piotr van der Kruishoeven. We've seen that horse win a Hickstead Derby. Of course, the Hickstead Derby famously modelled off the great course at Hamburg with, you know, the Bunn family trekking over there in the snow with their measuring sticks, trying to get their inspiration before they built that iconic course. So it is that specialist class. It's so unique. You can tell that by the way the crowds react to it and how much enthusiasm there is for this class. Certainly plenty to watch. I think Will Whitaker there, David Simpson, Stefan Dubsky, these are the Irish and the British contingent there. Friedrich Tillman, someone with DSP Comanche as well, certainly we'll be watching out for. Really, really key riders to watch, but I'm sure we won't be able to look past Andre Thieme today, and the excitement will certainly be building for him coming up to see if he can make history himself, Hannah.
And I think the crowd will kind of help him along there. You know, we could see how much they were getting behind him in the Grand Prix. He did take some risk. He did kind of feed off that energy, really, and I think that could play a big factor here today as well.
Certainly could. We are really looking sport. If you're watching on YouTube now or on the 24/7 channel, please do switch over to the Clip My Horse TV platform to tune in to the live sport. We're going to catch up with you throughout the afternoon, but for now it's over to our commentators, led by John Kyle.
You choose where to watch, at home or on the go. Clip My Horse TV streams on all your devices. Experience the best in equestrian sport, anytime, anywhere. Horses, sport, entertainment.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Klein-Flottbeck, the Derby Park here in Hamburg, ready for the 95th German Jumping Derby. We have our field put together over the qualification days of 32, ready to take on one of the most legendary competitions in the sport. A history dating back to 1920, and we'll be seeing them jump a course virtually unchanged since Edouard Pulverman laid it out back in the 20s. 58 winners over those years, 17 have been multiple winners, and only 165 clear rounds ever recorded in the German Jumping Derby until this year. And we are going to see whether we can make some history here today, because there are 2 things at play if Andre Thieme becomes our winner. Andre Thieme with Paula S would become a back-to-back winner. That has been done before, of course, not least by Marvin Jungel and Balus Urban in the 2 preceding years. But Andre would become a 5, also become the first rider to take the Hamburg Grand Prix, which is a in history and the Derby in the same season. A real Derby specialist. He did the double a couple of years ago at Falsterbo. But up against him, we've got some real names, and not least former Hamburg Derby winner there, Billy Toomey, one of the most recent foreign riders to have won. Indeed, Billy Toomey taking it in 2016. He is the most recent non-German rider to win.